Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring another movie review, and this time we're going to be talking about debt collectors.
Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel.
Bloody Jacob for sexy, awesome, exclusive content.
Subscribe and watch my friend on the YouTube channel. He is kicking ass.
Fuck with me and my friend! I'm after my family! Get in!
Subscribe.
That sounds like a warning.
It's an invitation.
Look.
And yes, this is the sequel to the 2018 film starring Scott Adkins as well as Louis Madylor, who I probably still can't pronounce the name of. But yes, it is a sequel to The Debt Collector, which came out just a couple years ago. And I am a big fan of martial arts and action, and Scott Adkins. Let me just get this out of the way right off the bat. Scott Adkins is the greatest martial arts or just like action in general star living today. I'm just saying that. He is very, very well rounded. I think he's very skilled and very sound in his ability, and at the same time I think he's really become quite a good actor for himself. I think he's perfected his craft and sort of style beyond just physically. I think he's proven that for the past few years, but I think in this role as French it's become even more evident. He may not be in theater release movies all the time or something like that, but I gotta tell you, he is the best. I'm just saying it. As far as the effort people put in, or at least maybe I'm just saying my favorite, who knows, but I really do believe he is the guy that's carrying it today, whether general audiences know about him or not. He is the guy to me right now. The Debt Collector was a pretty damn good time for me. Maybe my favorite Scott Adkins film, I'm not sure, or at least within the top 2 or 3 he's done so far. I did not really know if it needed a sequel. I'm guessing you've seen the first Debt Collector movie if you're watching this video. And you know how it ends. Not just because Sue is pretty seemingly dead, and Scott Adkins' character French is at least critically wounded. But I think it was just good as like a one-off movie too. I didn't think it necessarily needed more, even though the premise and the chemistry between our two leads here are fantastic. I didn't think it necessarily needed to keep going if they didn't absolutely feel like they should. That being said, Scott Adkins and Louis here are very, very good together again. They've basically gotten down to a science with the way they banter with each other. It feels like they haven't missed a step. It feels like if it wasn't for Scott Adkins' haircut, which looks really good by the way, it would almost seem like they filmed this right after the first one. That's how seamless it was with the transition from going into this movie from the previous film. So I can't really say enough about that. It just feels good to see them on screen together more again. So in that sense, I'm glad there's another movie. But I was content with the amount of fun and entertainment value I got out of the first one. But this one as a sequel was pretty good, I gotta say. Now I do prefer the first Debt Collector film personally. this movie I did really enjoy for the most part, but I don't know, there's just like an extra fun factor to the first one, a little bit more kind of liveliness, just like an extra layer of, you know, I don't know how else to say it, you know, fun factor that I didn't quite get to the same level with this one. I'm not sure why. It seemed a little bit dingier too. But, you know, I guess those are nitpicks more than anything. Yeah, I just thought there was, you know, some more fun humor with, you know, the clients they were trying to collect money from in the first film. You know, maybe that's probably part of it. And, you know, it seemed like the aesthetic was a little bit brighter and the, you know, the lighting and stuff like that. And this, I feel like it's a little bit dingier. Maybe it's because they didn't, you know, fucking release the movie on Blu-ray. I have the DVD here, which is fine. I do like the cover, by the way. But they did not release a Blu-ray of this movie. I mean, I guess we should be glad that, you know, it's come out on physical media at all. And you need to collect, okay? You need to get physical media. You can't just rely on the streaming services, as convenient and good as they are sometimes. You gotta have a collection, you gotta support these things still being released properly in the way they should be viewed. Hey, a little sentiment for me there, you know, at 2 in the morning. But yeah, so, you know, they're both, well, French was almost dead. Sue, I think, was very dead at the end of the first film. But they don't really go into it. We see French, it's been about 7 months, I think, and, you know, he's working as, like, a bouncer at a, you know, nightclub, basically, or a bar. And, you know, it seems like every week he's, you know, costing him damage. And, you know, Sue, he's alive, and he just ends up finding and recruiting for another job, saying Tommy needs him on something. And we get right into it. And we find out later, he basically just writes it off as, so yeah, you know, Tommy paid, you know, every dollar to, you know, do what it took to, you know, bring me back. Because he was dead for a certain amount of time, I guess. But still, you know, even Scott Adkins has said, you know, yeah, well, you know, he just decided to do another movie, and we wish we could, you know, rewrote the thing. Along with Jesse V. Johnson, of course, who I think is one of the best action directors working today. You know, his collaboration with Scott Adkins have not only been some of the best in his career, or the best, you know, depending on your view, but just in general, just a really nice consistency with, you know, his body of work too. You know, so that was, you know, a bit lazy, the explanation for them still being alive, but it is what it is, and, you know, they did back themselves into a corner, so, you know, and I do think, okay, well, they are great together, so would I really say no to another film, you know, with French and Sue? Yeah, you see, it's a back and forth pull for me. The action is good, by the way, the fight scenes especially. There's, you know, of course, a trademark, you know, bar brawl, you know, to sort of reintroduce French in the movie, you know, when Sue finds him and such. That's very good. And for some reason, I haven't seen They Live with Roddy Piper, but people kept comparing a particular alley fight in this to, you know, a pretty prominent fight scene in that film. You know, I know I've seen, like, clips of it, but I haven't seen the full film, so I guess that's another movie I have to watch. Yeah, there's a very good one-on-one, you know, kind of personal fight scene in this, you know, and that's very good as well. I think in that scene, and there's also, like, a boxing-oriented fight in this as well. They do a good job of showing and, you know, comparing and contrasting the, you know, MMA sort of a martial arts style that Scott Adkins has versus, you know, the boxing that Sue does and such, and, you know, a couple of characters they meet along the way and how, you know, that works, you know, for and against them. So I thought that was pretty good. And I guess my only criticism with a scene in the movie, although they all did good work, and it was good seeing the actor who played Tommy again. I didn't mind that character still being around. But there is a final shootout, you know, in a nightclub towards the end of the movie, and it's fine, you know. Scott Adkins looks great with the machine gun. But it's the actress there on the right. Not that I had any problem with the actress, but you know, she ends up working with Barbossa's brother, Tony Todd's character's brother from the first film, who you find out is kind of put Tommy under his thumb and such, and that, you know, that's one of the plots of the movie as well. Plot points, I should say. But she's standing basically almost no cover. She's not, you know, being, she's not being blocked off very well from the massive firefight that's ensued in the finale of the movie. But she doesn't get hit until possibly at the end, which we do not see. But it was a little silly, and there's just, you know, bullets, you know, flying over and over and over. And no one really gets hit too much besides a few henchmen a couple periodically. I don't know, it just seemed a little bit clunky to me. You know, people just can't pick their spots and just kept firing and firing. I don't know. I mean, the best part of the movie is that alley fight scene in this, I'm just going to say. And Scott Adkins, again, like I said, I think he's perfected himself as an actor, too. I actually think he's underrated for his acting chops at this point. Lewis is very good in this movie, too. So the best scenes were the alley scene that I keep referring to, and a scene in a hotel between Sue and French. That really nails that beats the character, and, you know, ties it into the first, and kind of their, you know, hopeful growing bond with each other, you know, whether they're going to admit it or not. So overall, it doesn't quite pop as much as the first film for me. I do think it's a worthy sequel. It's one that I will enjoy watching after I watch the first one again someday, which I'm sure I'll make my fiance watch both of them at some point. So yeah, overall, I'd still give it like an 87%, maybe even drifting to 88, so kind of B+ range. So yeah, I think that's a fair rating. Let me know what you guys thought about this one. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.